Farrakhan continues to tell us over and over again that God is present today. Today we're going to hear about a program that's going to keep our mind, as our Christian family says, stayed on the Lord. We don't need to stay still today, but we need to remain fixed on a program that will give us hope, that will give us life, that will give us the knowledge of the time and the knowledge of God. So today, open your ears to our student regional minister here in the Delaware Valley as we talk about a new education and a new world coming. Are y'all ready to hear the message today? Yes, sir. All praise is due to Allah. At this time, let us bring to this roster my student regional minister in the Delaware Valley, student minister Rodney Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. In the most holy name of Allah, the one, the all-wise, the true, and the living God, we thank Almighty God, who is the revealer of all truth and the sender of all prophets, of whom we have made no distinction. We thank Allah for Moses and the Torah. We thank him for Jesus and the gospel. And we thank him for Muhammad and the revelation of the Holy Quran. Peace be upon all the worthy servants of Allah. I am a student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's life-giving message, and in that, I'm most thankful to Allah for his own intervention in our affairs in these last days, the end times, in the divine person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I cannot thank him enough for his servant, the exalted Christ, now a Mahdi figure among us, the Christ of the Muslim world, a man who fits predictions. We're not talking about somebody that came here and made up a resume. It was already put out thousands of years before his birth and ours. And if he's mentioned, then we're mentioned. If they saw him thousands of years before he was born, they saw us thousands of years before our own birth. We got a hand in this. Whether you want to put your hand to the gospel plow or not, you got a hand in it. On the street, we use a cheaper term. I got skin in the game. I got a stake in this. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his servant, came from among us. We thank Almighty God for him being a 100% convert. And by being a 100% convert, the master was able to make him like himself. If he could not make Elijah like himself, then he would have had to stay here, and then we would have saw him. There's a reason we have not seen Master Fard Muhammad. He could go off the scene because he had a 100% convert. But then he said to his student, Allah has made me to take his place among the people. In other words, you don't see him, you see me. If you want to satisfy your desire to see him, then look at me. For he has made me to take his place, but look what I'm doing. I'm making you to take mine. Well, where's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? He made somebody to take his place among the people, so that if we say, when will we see the Father? Have I not been with you all this time? And you're asking, when will you see the Father? You looking at the Father when you're looking at me. That's the way this works. So I'm thankful for their student, their servant, and their apostle, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is the Messiah among us. Well, you know, the Messiah should be somebody. Go ask J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover took our tax money and launched a systematic campaign, not against white America, against black America, to stop the rise of a black Messiah. Now, J. Edgar Hoover was a 33-degree Mason. You pay for each of these degrees. I don't have time, that's not our subject, but he was a 33-degree Mason. You got to go be given that 33rd degree. I do have some of that in this talk on education today, but he is a Shriner. And when the wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in Philadelphia, we went to all the Masonic lodges. And naturally, she asked the question about, have you studied from 35 to 50 years? But if you successfully study from 35 to 50 years, you'll be allowed to call yourself a Muslim son. A Muslim son. But the son got a father. Thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for uncovering. These folks are hiding your identity. It makes you can't, not only can you not see yourself right, you can't see them right. That's why he's an open enemy. An open enemy, the Quran is showing us, he don't hide to do his stuff. He does all he does to us right in the open. Well, how can he get away with doing it? If you blind, you can't see it anyway. And we must be blind because look how long he's been doing it. And getting away with it in the open. So we thank Allah for them. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We must mention the two that we mentioned, because if you don't mention them, you can't see him properly. Lest we see the men that back him. So I thank Allah, and I greet you with the greeting words of peace. Salam alaikum again. You know, we want to welcome all of you to our own reopening to the public. Praise be to Allah. All over the nation. They would love to say the nation is gone, we got rid of that problem. They said that in 75, it looked like we got rid of the problem. Get all that talk out of the atmosphere. Black man looking at himself in a different way than the way we've trained him to see himself. So we thank Allah. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, when a man can prescribe the diameter of your knowledge, that same man controls the circumference of your activity. He already can predict how you're going to act because he knows the knowledge that you're operating from. He is the center. Allah is not the center of the Negro mind. The center of the Negro mind is the white supremacist. So we measure our worth and our worthlessness based on a standard set by him. And to get free of this kind of thing, there is a certain truth that's necessary that would set you free. Every truth can't set you free. You think people didn't know something of the truth when Jesus made that statement? If he was there and he was truthful, why would he say, ye shall know the truth? Shall is a future term. Well, you here right now. Why can't we know it right now? See, that's a man talking into a time where a necessary truth was held back until that time. And when that truth is revealed, also revealed is the time and what must be done about the truth. So we're talking about fixing the public schools. Well, he's the devil. Why we want to fix that and everything? Well, let's go to the master teacher. I could have put all this on the screen, but I want us now in the reopening to get used to picking up a book. This is what Malcolm X used to do. And he would bring many books to the rostrum there in Harlem, training people out of laziness, waiting on somebody else to say it. And then you take whatever they say on face value. Never even going to read it to reinforce it. Most of us don't read a book from the time we graduate from high school to the time they put us in the earth. That's a study. Most of us only went in a book when it was absolutely necessary to get through the class, but once school was out, most people stop reading books. And by doing that, the mind is stuck. If you're not acquiring knowledge, the mind is stuck where it was. Because, as we will show, knowledge is a path. So, Mr. Muhammad, according to the minister, look what he says. He said the whole universe is rooted in mathematics. Therefore, mathematics must become the focal point in a new educational system. Mr. Muhammad saw the inherent weakness in the public school system. He didn't just say, I'm the messenger, God taught me, to hell with everything else that's going on. He took a look at what was going on. And he saw the weakness that was in it. And determined that for black people to gain the tools needed to build a new reality for themselves, we needed to establish an independent school system with a new and better foundation. We would like to share our example with the whole public school system. We are concerned that if we don't help the public schools, then what will happen to our children? The minister goes on to talk about our own school system in the Nation of Islam, the Muhammad University of Islam. He said, we're concerned what will happen to our children. What will happen to them who come out of private school but still have to go into the larger environment? If our children can't change the environment, then the environment will ultimately change our children. You can't live in a bubble just because God has sent somebody to you and started a whole new educational system. Prophet Muhammad said, a Muslim is not really a Muslim till they love for their brother what they love for themselves. Watch what the Muslims. So the minister said, so it is not wise to just glory in the fruit of our private school. We have to affect the totality of education. Now, if we try to do that and they resist us, then the minister says, however, if we cannot impact the public school system, then it is incumbent upon us as black people to start our own private schools. See, what a lot of us don't realize is that the Nation of Islam really had the largest private school system in the history of this country when it came to black people. Oh, yeah. So we have a picture that it can be done. See, and Mr. Muhammad bought 2 whole square blocks in Chicago. A lot of people don't know that. He purchased it, and they were trying to stop him, so they went and rezoned it. So he couldn't do what he wanted to do in those 2 blocks. Are you listening to me? Then after rezoning it, they took the blocks that he had purchased and gave the nation our money back. That's how bad they don't want to see you educated properly. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad took the South Shore Country Club and put up $1 million to hold the property. This ought to stop Negroes about arguing about how much something costs. When something means something to you, Mr. Muhammad didn't give a damn what it cost.
That's right. Go ahead.
There was no price too great for him to see us in a better condition. So when he put the $1 million up, they told him, we want 10 million. He went to get 10 million for them. They backed off. Got the community to come against us in Chicago, gave him the $1 million back. That's how bad they don't want to see you in a better condition. So when we run around here just talking about we need to get our own, you better be ready to fight for it. Because somebody out here don't want you to have it. And the condition that we're in does not make white America sad. You ain't gonna get better until you unite and organize. You're not gonna get better till you get a spirit to fight. Anything that we're gonna have, I'm not talking about going out there humbugging, that little cheap thing. This is high-level spiritual warfare. The white man don't even have to fight you. He know how to cast an evil suggestion in your mind. He don't give a damn what you belong to. You can belong to the NAACP. You can belong to the Baptist Church. You can belong to, by the time he casts evil, he know how to plant a new idea in you. He make you an enemy to your own organization. We're honeycombed with hypocrites right now and agents. Because the level of warfare that we fighting is not fisticuffs, man. People know how to plant new thoughts in your head and make you turn against yourself. I guarantee you most black organizations, almost 60% of their organizational energy is either fighting other black organizations or trying to fight off the ones that are fighting them within their own organization. You do the math. By the time you spend 60% of your time just trying to deal with a Negro mindset that you already in, you ain't got enough left to really fight white supremacy. Y'all better wake up. So Mr. Muhammad, let me see if I can get him up. Oh, I got it now. Here it goes. We thank the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for the back page of our newspaper. We got a program. And this program, I don't know why it's not coming up on the screen there. We just got to get a technical team. But anyway, I'm looking at the American flag. Now, the American flag symbolizes the nature of the people that we're in. Can it move up? Can they see it? So I guess he didn't check it to see that it came up. No, don't take it off. The American flag symbolizes the nature of its people, and it's a sign of confusion, it's a sign of contradictions, it's a sign of deceptions, and it's a sign of violence and bloodshed. I wish you could see it. I don't know what happened here. Everything's supposed to be hooked up there. But anyway, we are thankful to Allah that the history of this flag, as we were taught by our enemies, was done by Betsy Ross. But in truth, the flag was designed by our own scientists. This setup was designed for God's coming. First of all, you see the deception. There's a field of blue. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us in the theology of time that Allah or nature makes nothing that is blue. You know, it's really bugging me that you all can't see this. I don't know what. I'm gonna try to come back up and see if I can get this on for you. No, I'm just gonna keep working with it, because is it on there now?
No, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir. Here you go. That's a just add it, bro.
I don't understand why it's going to that. Okay, it's up there. Good. All right, so, man, I don't understand why this isn't working now. Everything was working before. Okay, so this is the back page of the newspaper where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about why we want a school system where our own teachers because the nature that Allah created the man in and the nature that he created the woman in are not exactly the same. And they don't process information the same way. And to set them in a co-ed situation, not processing things the same way, it begins to cripple our real development in the way that the male and the female complement each other. So the Quran says, so the male is not like the female. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us not only physiologically, but chemically and genetically. We are not the same in composition. So the education of both should not be in a co-ed situation, notwithstanding that last week I told you how many females are raped once they go to college campuses, and the number is increasing. I'm trying to see why this isn't moving. Now we have the American flag here. Thank you. The flag, this flag that a lot of people have a problem with, you know, but you live in the country and this is the flag of the country. That the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we respect the flag of a sovereign nation. You don't live in somebody else's house and disrespect what they got set up and call yourself a FOI or MGT. You all got the wrong idea. This flag represents an independent nation that we desire to be. So we have a flag. We were in Strawberry Mansion, I believe the high school, years ago, big controversy. And so we went down to meet with the officials. And this Caucasian policeman that they got up in the school, I got a problem with that, should be a counselor. We don't need armed guards around our children. Amen. And, you know, he said they won't stand up and put their heart on and pledge allegiance to the flag. I told him we have a flag. And we don't pledge allegiance to our own flag. The human being only pledges allegiance to Allah. We honor our flag and we'll respect yours. But we're not going to start worshiping and swearing our allegiance to no piece of cloth on a pole. It symbolizes something. Our allegiance is to Allah and Allah only. That sound all right? Look at the deception. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Allah has not created anything blue. The sky looks blue, but get in a plane and fly up there. And you won't, when you get there, you won't see the blue that you saw when you were standing down here. The sky is reflecting the waters. Go jump in the water, it looks blue, but it's not blue when you get in it. It's an illusion. And so the star that represents justice is sitting in a field of blue, which should remind us that justice is elusive to us. We got a saying, when we go looking for justice, we find just us. There's a reason that the attribute of justice is that which brings Allah, because, and I don't have time to stay on the flag, but the justice brings him because injustice prevails in the land right now. This is how their educational system started. Red represents freedom. White stripe, 6 of them, it represents the interruption of freedom. Huh? Freedom, justice, and equality on the back page of our newspaper represent life principles. If somebody is interrupting your freedom, they're interrupting your life. We want justice for all, regardless to race, regardless to creed or color, right? We want justice applied equally to all. We read a book of scripture that tells us even if it be near of kin, don't cut the law to service a buddy system that will only promote injustice rather than justice. Is that right? So these are contradictions. They talk freedom, but we don't experience it. Huh? They don't know whether they want you to be free or to keep you in bondage. Some of them talk like they want you to be free. This is why you see the stripes. These are the contradictions. And so white and black in America, we're confused over what we really want. The original flag was a serpent cut up in 13 pieces. When I was in grade school, that was what we saw when you went to learn about American history. That represents a low base people. The serpent is the lowest creature in the forest. Huh? And if the flag is reflecting the nature of the people, then the people were low down. And they were low base. The key word today is diversity and inclusion. But in 1705, the Diversity Act was set up because the number of slaves was outgrowing the people who were over the slaves. So they needed more whites in to help police the growing slave population, so they came up with the Diversity Act. You all don't mind hearing about this, do you? Because Negroes are around now talking about we need diversity and inclusion. You've had it under the Diversity Act since 1705. And when they couldn't get enough whites to come and populate America because the law had been set up, there had to be one white person for so many African slaves, they opened up the jails in England and let all those folks out with no rehabilitation program. They just needed bodies here. As long as you was white and you was alive and breathing, that was good enough for them. And these people came over with all kind of cruelty. Low down. Poison. And it was a low-based people that were over us. So, red represents freedom, white is opposed to freedom. As soon as you think somebody's for you, next thing you find out they're against you. 3 white men trapped that young man down there jogging in Georgia. And they're trying to make him look like the criminal. They couldn't argue about George Floyd. I told you, they're going to get upset about George Floyd, but as soon as things wear down, you're going to see them go right back to what the Honorable Louis Farrakhan promised us, that the thin veneer of civility is coming off of them, and Allah's going to let the fiery serpents, he said, which the messenger taught, there's no such thing as a fiery serpent coming after you. Those are angry white people. And they're angry, and now they got a network like Fox News that's juicing them up. They're ready to fight their own government to have the way of life that they want because they feel like you are taking their country from them. So they're angry about that. So look what the minister says about the flag, just so we can close this. We cannot honor, if we cannot honor God the supreme teacher, then how can the children honor their teachers? We have this thing all backwards. You don't pledge your allegiance to a flag, which is merely the symbol of a nation. You pledge allegiance to God, and you work for your flag and country. That's just to put it in perspective. Now, I'm trying to get here. Knowledge is an attribute of the divine being. That means that his makeup, Alim means knowledge. He's the best knower. Look what Brother Jabril said in the final call. It follows then that the more and more a person takes on the color of the Almighty, the more and more the person becomes like God, godly or divine. See, there's nothing magical about it. It's being displayed in our behavior. He goes on to say the great majority of Muslim scholars teach that Allah possesses 99 attributes or qualities that compose his character or nature. They teach, in effect, that living an excellent life, in essence, is living a life that expresses his attributes. If taking on the color of Allah means the absorption and the manifestation of the attributes or qualities of the character of Allah, then how much of our capacity for such life as that we are presently living, how many are expressing or manifesting what is called the 99 names of Allah? Every attribute is a force. So the Honorable Louis Farrakhan teaches. So Alim, knowledge is a force. In fact, the minister said knowledge is an internal force that enables its possessor to meet and overcome all obstacles in their path. Does that sound familiar? Knowledge is a path. It'll take you further down. The more you learn, the further you go in life. The less you learn, it limits how far you're going to go in life. Ignorance is the greatest enemy to the nation of Islam. Ignorance is not white people. Ignorance is our greatest enemy. So rather than arming us with carnal weapons, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad took carnal weapons off of us. You won't need them with what I'm about to give you. Because when you're armed with knowledge, and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is proving this because he's got enemies all over this planet. But with no weapons, he's showing himself. Do you understand? To be, he's an indefeatable foe. They can't handle him. And they could not handle his father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because knowledge is greater than any gun that you have. When you're ignorant, go get a gun and find out who you kill. You're going to kill somebody that looked just like you. You wouldn't have these murders going on in these cities if you was killing other folks. And I'm not suggesting that you should be killing other people. You shouldn't be killing anybody. But they're not going to let you just come in and murder them. And some of us are getting crazy enough to go over the line. Saw you down in Society Hill, but hopefully it wasn't a black person. But you know what? They wish it was. Because they'll come back, I don't care whether it's West Philly, North Philly, South Philly, they'll storm our community and kick some doors in till they find out who did it. Knowledge is potential power, but you got to act on what you know. And it's hard to know how to act on what you know without wisdom. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us wisdom will get you up in the world. He said, there's no such thing as manifesting power without wisdom. Knowledge is the beginning of civilization. It's the first building block. You want to build a new society, a new civilization or something. One who has civilization is somebody that has knowledge, then wisdom, then understanding, culture, refinement. You got to become a more refined people. You can't act savage talking about you keeping it real. Nothing is more real than God. He came as it was prophesied that he would come. He didn't come with his pants hanging down off his rear end. From what we understood of this man who was in Black Bottom, Detroit, not even a hair strand was out of place when he presented himself in the public. He was setting up an example for his student who did not fail him in giving us an example. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, you know, I'm thankful to them. Now, I read this scripture last week, but we need to know that the Quran is already revealed, telling you that when you come with the truth, you're going to get rejected. It says, Nate, they reject that whose knowledge they cannot compass. See, when they can't master what's coming out of you, and they couldn't master it because it was hidden from them, they're going to reject it. Don't fall apart because somebody didn't accept this. Every prophet of God had what they brought rejected.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Part of the game.
And the final sequel has not yet come. There's more coming.
Yes, sir. Praise be to the Lord.
You think the coronavirus is the end of it?
No, sir. Come on.
You think widespread death is the end of it? You think the supply chain being off so people can't get a Christmas tree and other things that they want for the house, you think that's the end of it? That's just the beginning of sorrows. It ain't even got sad out here yet. Even thus did those before them reject. I'm expecting to be rejected. That's what Allah promises me. Go out with the truth that I revealed to my servant. They're going to reject you. They're not going to be happy with what you bring. So don't expect a cheering squad. But they need it. My face frowned it up when I had to take castor oil, cod liver oil. I didn't have no smile on my face. Strong medicine. Always rejected, but the strong medicine does the best for your body. And some strong medicine in this society will do good for the body politic of these United States of America. Now look here. Let's get down to it where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he's got to make it clear. It is Allah's will and purpose that we shall know ourselves. Therefore, he came himself to teach us the knowledge of self. Who is better knowing of whom we are than God himself? He has declared that we are descendants of the Asian black nation and of the tribe of Shabazz. That wasn't something just for the Malcolm X movie. This is the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Look at here. You may ask, who is this tribe of Shabazz? Originally, they were the tribe that came with the earth or this part 66 trillion years ago. I'm trying to get there. Boy, this thing here, I don't know what we got set up here, but this thing moves on its own. Let me go here, because I want you to see what he said. A great explosion on our planet divided it into two parts. One we call Earth, the other Moon. We, the tribe of Shabazz, says Allah God, were the first to find the best part of our planet to live on, the rich Nile Valley of Egypt and the present seat of the holy city, Mecca, Arabia. The original Arabs were black people. If you go and study and trace the Arabs that are there now, they're not the original ones. And if you go look for the white-skinned ones that are there now, you'll find out that the Arabic tongue preceded them. They didn't bring the Arabic tongue, they walked into it. So who was speaking it? See, when you take people beyond 6,000 years, they can't compass that. They want to prove this within this context of the Caucasian teaching you. But this knowledge is even before he was here. Go and find out what he says about beyond 6,000 years. He calls it prehistoric. Is that right? That's what I learned. And then he got museums all over the world. And when you go in them, you see bone structures of the dinosaurs that was supposed to, how you find all them bones? See, all of that is made up. They use this plastic, this very powerful plastic they use and everything. These bones are made. They didn't find these bones in the earth. They're digging up cities that are older than them dinosaur things they show. And Malcolm X used to teach, when they dug up one city, they found out another city was already up under it. Y'all listening to me? We are an ancient people. We have been here for trillions of years. Well, you know, in the Middle East, there was no such thing as no Middle East. Huh? Arabia, Judea, Jerusalem. That started from three original men, Jabus, Ariel, and Salam. And when you put their names together, Jerusalem. Come on, somebody. The original man built that city. This is northern Africa. As we call it, West Asia. But the lessons teach us, they went and called it Africa because they want to try to divide us. According to Mr. Muhammad, right? So we say Africa, but we know that's the name they gave. It was Admiral Mahon in 1901 that started calling this little area in the rich Nile Valley the Middle East. That was 1901. Winston Churchill, Prime Minister of the UK, he started using the term, and so the term got coined, Middle East, and then it makes you think, oh, this is some other people that live there. This is Northern Africa. And the original people in Judea, the original people in Arabia were all black. The original Hebrews were black. Huh? Do we want to learn about ourselves or don't we? That's what we have to ask ourselves. So Mr. Muhammad said, after this explosion, we were the first ones. Now, everything out there in the heavens that we can see from our telescopes is under the power of the sun, except for the moon. So why would Allah have everything under the power of the sun, and then the moon is out there and it's moving from the power of the earth? The moon don't rotate. It's not doing like the other planets. The moon is not even like the other stars that are out there. The moon is sitting there lifeless. No water, no vegetation, nothing. It really ain't got no purpose. That's a sign of us. And how we were made when they took the knowledge of self from us. Once we were miseducated in that, just like that moon. The sun is there, but moon ain't responding to it. The Son of Man is here. How many of us are responding to him? How many of us are drawn from that light? So, Mecca, we understood that the knowledge of this world was weaker. The mathematical circumference for knowledge is 360 degrees. In the present world that we live in, when you go to the circle and draw a line for 33 degrees, it has the human being crawling. So a man who's mentally crawling is ruling the world. You have to be at 90 degrees of knowledge just to stand upright. Well, the Muslims, they argue with us sometime. We understand. But the Quraysh, 1,400 years ago, believed in Allah. Did you know that? They didn't know who he was. So Allah to them was summed up in 360 idols. So Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was made to destroy all 360 of those idols before his death. He wanted to end idol worship in Arabia. But the Muhammad of 1,400 years later, he knows that the idols are not sitting out there for him to bust up. They're living in here. He's got to bust up every idol god that's in the mind of the Negro and make a 360-degree turn in knowledge, which could only come from God himself. The scientists of the present world say that we only use maybe 5%, some say 6%. It's certainly less than 10% of our brain power. Well, God's not wasteful. He didn't intend for you to just throw away 95% of your brain power. Something is stopping us. In fact, the physicists say to use 100% of your mind can only come from a proper education. So you can see that proper education is not a part of our planet today. Can you imagine a man and woman, they fall in love, they get married, then they have a child, and the woman goes to the hospital. She goes, you go to the delivery room to have the child. Then you bring the child home. Now, you all been living there 5 years before the child got there. Child starts growing up. Child starts exploring the house, crawling around everywhere, going around everywhere, looking in rooms, climbing up on this and that, because the child ain't never seen the house before. See, the child was in the mother and had never seen the house before. Don't you see how this man just got here 6,000 years ago? He's crawling all over the planet. He's digging up everything he can find. He's climbing up on it. He's shooting up over there. He's going over here. He's digging up and everything. You're not doing it. I'm not doing it. We've been here for trillions of years. He just got here 6,000 years ago. He hasn't even been here 1,000,000 years. He's never seen it before. So he's digging up cities and neighborhoods that he never lived in, so he can know more about us, but we don't know enough about ourselves. And as long as he can keep us illiterate, is that right? He can use us as a tool to fix the situation he wants. And that. So I wanted you to see two of our educators here, but look what the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said here. The knowledge of self is the greatest of all knowledge. It is akin to the knowledge of Allah. Both these knowledges, which is really one, is the key to our return to God, really our return to ourselves, and our return to power. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad never said we suffer from mental slavery. Mental death brings slavery. Because the power of the human being is in the mind. Once someone can control your mind, they don't have to set up barriers around the plantations. They didn't have to put barbed wire fences around the plantations because they could control the mind of the slave. Slave ain't going nowhere. He says the study of ourselves as black people, original people of the earth, he said it must never be abandoned. You got to keep learning about you. Don't think you got it all in one lesson. That's why when the minister started dealing with Dianetics, people was confused and attacking him on this, that, and the other. But the knowledge of your mind is part of the knowledge of self. We can't know who we really are if we ain't excited about uniting and building. No. I got the knowledge of myself. Soon as somebody start trying to build something black, your mouth is the first one criticizing. That's what the enemy is doing. That's what the enemy wants. He wants something torn down. It doesn't mean you're just some evil, wicked person. It just means you still got the mind he gave you. That mind has to be voluntarily given up by us. Look at this here. We must know ourselves historically. Look at that. We must know ourselves biologically. This is why the teaching on melanin and things now are becoming more important. You can see a consciousness is coming up among us, but you got to be reading to see it. You're not going to get it from CNN. Look at this. You got to know who you are genetically. Your gene. Your DNA that makes you up now for your present. It's carrying a hereditary trait. That means history is in the gene. You look just like your great somebody, or you sound just like somebody way down the line that you've never seen before. We don't keep the pictures that long, even though we got these little cell phones now to do everything with. But just think about what I'm saying. And the gene is reproductive. So it carries the future. We have to learn ourselves genetically. But we must go also, the minister said, to the root of ourselves, which is knowledge of the nature in which we are created. That's the essence of self-knowledge. We are the righteous. That is our own, right? I'm at the end. Now, these two men, Carter G. Woodson of course, just a snapshot. He was trying to do something like that. When you read through Mr. Muhammad's writings, you'll see that he studied different men that were trying to do better for us. I didn't have time to list all of them, but of course Carter G. Woodson was the second black person to get a PhD from Harvard. The first one was W.E.B. Du Bois. And he spent his time at Howard insisting on that we have our own teachers or else we'll never learn our own history. And of course, Negro Week started with him, but it ultimately mushroomed into Black History Month. But there shouldn't be a moment going by where we're not trying to learn something else about ourselves. How about that? Yeah. So Mr. Carter G. Woodson, he'll always be lifted among our people. The other one was Sheikh Anta Diop. Now, he's important, and you've heard the Honorable Louis Farrakhan mention him because he challenged the Caucasian on the origin of man. And the beautiful thing about Sheikh Anta Diop is that he didn't go and get another body of knowledge to make his argument. He took what they gave him and showed the contradictions in it. Sheikh Anta Diop is known for mastering the distortions of our enemy. And so in the French, what they call the Sorbonne, which started in 1257, there in Paris, France. All through history, people who wanted their PhDs, sometimes they would have some objection to one of the papers in your dissertation, and they may ask you to go back and work on this, go back and work on that. Sheikh Anta Diop is the first person where the entire project was rejected. They were so troubled by his findings. They were so troubled by his argument about the origin of man that they rejected everything, and he didn't give up. He doubled down. And he learned every science that they had: anthropology, archaeology. He went back genetically. He studied everything that you could find, and he came back. And he kept doing, coming back until they accepted him and gave him a PhD out of Paris, France, in the French Sorbonne. And that's why our dear brother Dr. Wesley is so valuable. Because in particular, he took what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, and he defied them at the highest institution of learning, so ultimately they had to accept. So, beloved, in the present school system, just so you look, 57% of black children have math science readiness for college. 81% of Asians do. You know, Asians out in front of everybody now. Whites, 71% of them have readiness. Black children are exposed more to less qualified teachers because they don't want to. Don't say the system is broken. You broken. I'm broken. This system is working the way they want it to work. I'm on 50th and right off 52nd Street at Shoemaker. All students are black. Everybody's moving all around the school. I'm talking to the administrators and everything, and it didn't occur to me until the bell rang. When the bell rang, all the teachers came out of the classroom and stood in front of the class to get ready to receive the next group. It wasn't one black teacher. All of them were young white females. Only 10% of the schools have black principals. 80% of the schools have white ones. 82% of all classroom instructors are white. So this don't sound nothing like what Mr. Muhammad is saying and that. And then finally, look at their recommendation. Invest in early childhood education. Our children are ready to learn at 3. Don't be holding your children to know till they're 6 years old. If your child goes to kindergarten, they can't recognize their own name on the board, they're already behind. When you get started, they're supposed to be able to recognize. If you put 10 names on the board, they should be able to point to the one that's there. That's the first day in kindergarten. So we're already starting behind. Establish high common academic standards. The children can do it. They can, if I took them my phone would look foreign to me. If I put it in the hand of these children, they've been done so much things. They be over in countries and stuff. I don't know how to do all that. I look up and I say, that's Brother David calling me. Let me get him. That's all I know. I'm finishing. But I'm just trying to say the children can do it. But you got to set the standard. And let me tell you why we own standards. If you don't set standards, you're not going to build nothing new. You got to have a standard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, the Muslims, under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, set a standard. That standard was being clean, being right and exact. Am I talking the right language? Getting things done. The discipline of getting things done. You need a school? We're going to do it. You can't have 50 people get ready for a school and 49 of them talking against it. Because that ain't the Honorable Elijah Muhammad standard. Huh? I mean, you'll never get nothing done. You're in the bread line. You're in a line waiting for your enemy to give you a job. Malcolm said anytime you rely on your enemy to give you a job, you're in bad shape. We should be fighting fiercely, but you can't do it without a standard. There has to be a standard. Well, you know, I followed Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. No, you don't even come out the house till you know where the hell you're going. What's up, fruit? I don't know, I'm just checking things out and everything. You don't come out of the house without a mission. You're a man, not a boy trapped in a man's body. You're a man growing into a God. This is a world of sport and play. So you just sport along and play along and all that. But therefore, I ain't got no time for that. I don't mean you don't have recreation and you don't do something to relax from time to time. But before that, you got a mission. Whole new world order got to come in. Things got to be set up. Buildings got to be purchased. Walls got to be painted. Curriculums have to be laid out. Folk got to be disciplined. Sit down, be quiet. Don't do all that. It's time for you to learn. We only got so much time on this planet to make our mark. We don't have 1,000 years to do this. We're right at the last leg of this race. This whole world is falling. If you don't build one, you won't have nothing to stand on. Invest in a culturally competent teacher force. See how the messenger said we want our own teachers teaching them? Yeah, we need no, not black people, not just color. You got to have consciousness. I've seen black teachers got the children into Halloween. We dress like Halloween all year with the crazy way they got us looking. Doggone uniform might be an improvement. Halloween thing with what we doing to ourselves all year. We should be screaming when a black man is walking down the street with his butt hanging out. Scream like it's a horror story. Scream and tell him this is way beneath us. Scream when they put toxic music out here about killing young black women and that. Scream. seek to avoid disciplines that take the child away from the classroom. Because that's what they do. They take you off to jail, or they put you somewhere. If you can, if they're not jumping on everybody, they're not violent, keep them learning as much as possible. Look at this, rigorous exposure to STEM. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, rigorous engineering to that. Steer the children to that rather than to a lot of foolishness and everything. So I'm finished today, family. We are reopened. You are invited out. We want to see your families. We want to see your friends. We want to see your co-workers. We want to tell the world about the Messiah today in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Thank you for listening as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, family, let's give him another round of applause. Our student regional minister, Student Minister Rodney Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. As our brother was teaching, dear family, and he was delivering that very timely message, another voice was talking to us. How many of us believe that what we heard today is true and that it's good for our people and all of fallen humanity? All praise is due to Allah. Well, let me ask this next question. How many first-timers do we have out today? Is anybody out for their first, second time? Let's give our sisters, our brothers a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. Well, dear family, before Brother Rodney leaves the floor, if you would like to shake his hand for the message that he just brought to us, would you please come down to the front right now? And he would shake it on behalf of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. At this time, he has it. Passing him. Brother David.
All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Keep that round of applause going. If you like what you heard today, and you would like to learn more about the Nation of Islam and helping the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, brothers, if you have not given your name, go have a seat right there. I'm going to get your information before you go, okay? The brothers who I do... My brother. Assalamu alaikum. Can the brothers that just shook our minister's hand come back to the front row? The brothers that I don't know. So come on up. My brother, come on up. I just want to get your information real quick before you leave. Anyone else that would like to come up and shake our student regional minister's hand today and accept the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I'll be right with you.
Let's give our courageous family who were willing to come up and shake the hand of our Delaware Valley Student Regional Minister. Give them a round of applause. All praise is due to Allah. So, dear family, we're going to make this very quick. We're just going to do the charity portion of our meeting. And at this time, if you have, let's reach for the 20s. If you have a 20 to give today, whatever you have on your person, but we're going to start with the 20s. So please, as our brothers and sisters come down the aisle, please pass it to them on the side. Anybody would like to give today? You know what, Brother Dante? I'm going to start it off, brother. I got a 20. Who's at the back? Sister Mary Ann, and who else? I can't see your face.
I'm born to die.
Oh, Sister Alicia Starr, give her a round of applause. They give our Sister Mary Ann a round of applause for the 20 they just gave. Got Brother Christopher in the back, he has 20. We have
no punk walk with me.
Brother Ollie and Brother Rashawn, give him a round of applause. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Remember, Brother who? Brother Nick. Thank you, Brother Nick, for giving. All praise is due to Allah. It leaves your pocket, but it never leaves the spirit that you gave it in. And remember.
So if you want to be depunctified,
Brother Brandon, thank you, Brother Brandon. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Keep it going, dear family. It's 20. And the man that's on that 20, he's
join the FOI.
Get rid of him.
Join the MDT.
Thank you, Brother Gerald. All praise is due to Allah. Give him a round of
Join the
applause, dear
Nation
family.
of Islam.
All praise is due to Allah.
And take a dose of what got Farrakhan like he is.
As we promised, in a timely manner. So we have just a couple of whatever it is that you would like to give, because Allah never, ever breaks his promise. So dear family, at this time, just a couple of announcements and we'll be right on our way. At the secretary's table on the way out, it looks like we have some food items that are for sale, and of course the Mosque t-shirts, the DVR, and the Muhammad Mosque 12 t-shirts. I believe the sandwiches that they have out at the table are bean and turkey, and it looks like there's some other items out there that are edibles. But whatever the case may be, you've gotten some spiritual food. So if you want to get some physical food to